Okay, let's talk about managing your flip. And by this, I'm talking about how you're going to control all the expenses that are happening in the property so that you don't go over the budget. This is extremely important because you are the one who calculated how much this flip was going to cost you in the first place. So that's why I also like you to do the general math, the $40 or $50 per square feet when you're rehabbing the property, because this is going to give you a pretty good idea of a worst case scenario. Now again, I want you, as you go on, I want you to memorize how much everything is going to cost in general, so now you have a better idea of how much it can actually cost when you focus on things specifically, the kitchen, the roof, and so on. Another thing I want to mention is, for these purposes, I'm using property management because you are a project manager. You're managing the property so that it goes successfully, it stays on track, you don't go over the budget. But in general, property manager is a person who is in charge of managing your rental property. So this term is mostly used for people who hire a different person so that they manage a rental property in your behalf so that you don't have to do it. But for these purposes, we're talking about you managing the property, managing the expenses, managing everything that's happening in the property until you sell it, because you are in charge, you are in control. A few things that we're going to be talking about is on how you can manage the project, okay? Because basically you get someone to help you, but you have to manage them, okay? And then you also have to manage everything that's happening in the property. So for example, these are a few things that you want to consider on following this execution phase, okay? Which is going to be hiring the contractors. So now you have gone, by this time you should probably have interview at least 2 to 3 different contractors. When you interview them, of course, it's going to be based on the property. You ask them, how much do you think it's going to cost for you to rehab this property? What needs to be done in this property? And then ask them how long it's going to take. You get 3 different people, 3 different quotes, so that you get an overall idea on how long it's going to take you. Why? Because some people may say that it takes a lot sooner than what they think is going to take, and some other people are really honest and blunt, and they tell you, you know what, this is actually going to take me exactly 4 weeks being here almost every single day to be able to get this project done for you. So those are the things that you want to do. When you hire the right contractor, you make sure that whatever time they give you is the time that you're going to be locked in for. This is extremely important. Now, permits and regulations. The contractor is going to be in charge of that. However, you need to be involved. You need to be asking these questions of what's happening, what's necessary, what needs to be added, are all regulations are being completed, is everything going accordingly to the legal considerations of the county, and so on. Why? Because you need to know and you need to learn that there's a few items in the property when you're working on them that needs to be passed by code. Why? There's a specific reason why they have these regulations, and for the most part it's going to be for safety hazards, especially for the next family moving into the property. So you want to make sure that every single one of them are within compliance. Now, the contractor who's going to be doing the work for you, they should know about these things that they have to work on the property that will need some sort of permits and regulations, okay? They are the ones who will define, hey, you know what, we're going to need a permit for this, we're going to need a permit for the AC, we're going to need a permit for the roof. I'm just giving you examples because for those things you pretty much always need a permit, okay? AC and roofs. But just giving you an overall idea, you're going to need permits for the windows because they need to be hurricane proof in this area, and so on, okay? So again, you want to be aware of what things needs to be aligned with what. And the only way that you're going to be able to learn this, honestly, is going to be with your contractor, because he's going to be in charge of managing the project for you, and all you're doing is you're just keeping your eyes out there so that they're completing everything on time and they stay on track. As a project manager, you want to establish a system for tracking the projects. So, for example, I'm going to give you an example. I know a lot of people who basically, but this is because they created strong relationships with their contractors, that they tell their contractor, this is just an example, you can implement this later on however you want to do it, but what they do is, okay, so if this project is going to take 4 weeks, I'm going to come here and inspect the property every Friday. Every Friday I'm going to give you a check, right, to basically we divide the process in 4 checks, for example. So I'm going to manage the property every single Friday. I'm going to come in. You're gonna tell me prior what things need to be completed within what time frame, and I'm going to go and make sure that you have completed that. Make sure that you have done everything that you were supposed to do because you told me it was going to take this long. So this is a good way of keeping them accountable, and also because if they're not completing what they told you that they were going to do, you can actually hold them a check. You can hold it. Oh, you know what? You haven't completed this for me, and you told me you were going to do it. You were the one who told me it was going to take this long. You haven't done it. I'm going to have to hold this check until you actually do it. If you finish it by Tuesday, don't worry, I'll be here on Tuesday and I'll give you the check. But everything needs to be on a timely manner, and you need to understand that this is extremely important because the longer you take with the project, remember that you're paying interest on this, you're making interest payments on most of these properties that you buy. I don't want you to buy houses on 100% cash. There's going to be some loans involved, so you want to make sure that everything stays on track. Okay, that's again controlling the expenses, controlling the cost. Budget and tracking is pretty much what I just told you. You manage the financials closely, basically by going into the property. You walk into the property and you make sure everything is running well, everything is running smooth. If not, what exactly you're going to do in order to make that happen. You have to make sure every single one of these projects are completed. Now, the reason why this is also extremely important is because when you start doing this by scale, okay, when you start scaling your business where now you're not doing just 1 flip, but you're doing 2 flips or 3 flips, now you're going to have to manage these projects by different timings. So for example, if you told your contractor you were going to go visit him every Friday to make sure the property was up to what they told you it was going to take to be done at that time and moment, now you have another property that you're going to have to go there on Thursday. So now you have 2 properties there you're visiting on Thursday, one on Thursday and one on Friday, and so on. So this is a really good way for you to track all the expenses, to track everything that's happening, to track the work of the contractor, to make sure the permits are going on time, they're running on time. It is your responsibility to make sure that you manage, that you contribute with your own time to make sure that the project is completed. One of the things that I want to share about this is exactly what I used to do. I was not a painter. I was not an electrician. I was not a contractor. I was none of that. I was a person managing my own projects. So I was going there and I was making sure everybody was doing their job. Whoever was not doing their jobs, I will tell them, hey, look, we're probably not going to be able to work together next time because you haven't completed the things that you told me you were going to complete by this date. At the end, you have to make your mind, okay? There's a lot of people trusting you for this project to be completed on time. So you have to do what you have to do. And for the most part, it's going to be letting everyone know that you are a serious person and you need this project to be completed by the time they told you. That's why you always want to interview different people, okay? That's why you always want to get different quotes. The most honest quote is going to be the best one, of course, but for this, you need to interview multiple people. You need to get multiple answers. And then this is also going to help you get an idea of how long each project may take. Now, again, each project is always going to be different because not every single one of the properties is going to be a full rehab. Some of these properties is going to be a light rehab, just paint, changing cabinets, and then that's it, right? That's a light rehab, or maybe a full rehab is going to be just the whole property to be gutted out and so on. So you want to make sure that for every different project that you get a different quote, different estimated time of completion, and that these people stay on track because you are the one responsible. You're not going to go to the person who's lending you the money, giving you the money on the rehab and tell them this is going to take a little bit longer because my contractor is not doing the right job, the right work. No, you have to take responsibility of this. I apologize, this project took a little bit longer than I expected, but I'm working on it right now so we get it done by this date, or this property goes on the market by this date. Okay, so again, you are the project manager. You are fully responsible for everything that's happening in the property, even though you are not doing the work in the property. Okay, extremely, extremely important. So again, make sure that everything is running smoothly. Make sure everything is running on time. Make sure that everyone is following what they're supposed to be following so that the property finishes and completes on time. Quality control. So this is talking about maintaining high standards. This is pretty much what I was just telling you by doing the inspections on the property and addressing any concerns. So again, just, hey, you told me you were going to complete this project by this date, or you told me this was going to be done by Friday. I'm here on Friday, it has not been completed, so you need to work on it right away. The reason why you want to be like this right off the bat is because the more serious you are, the more people are going to work for you. It's just as simple as that. The more serious you are, the more people are going to want to work for you. Why? Because if you are managing the project perfectly to the T, and the person to you, the contractor is committing and giving you everything that they told you that they were going to do, they're committing to it, you have to pay them right on time. On Friday, when you go on the property on Friday and you check on the project looks good, you have to have your check ready for them to collect. You have to have it. You must have it. You cannot tell them, yeah, come back on Sunday, I'll give it to you on Sunday. None of that. You have to have everything ready because this will show how serious and how well you are in the business, okay? You have to have experience. I'm giving you all my experience so that you apply it into your own knowledge and feel like you already know that everything needs to happen a certain way. Why? Because unfortunately, if you don't do it this way, some people may take advantage of that kindness that you may have, or your skills, okay, your lack of skills. So make sure that by doing everything that I'm telling you right now, you maintain that high quality control, because even if you may only do, this may only be your first flip, people are going to respect you, people are going to want to follow you, people are going to want to work with you in a lot of more projects because of your seriousness. Follow this and you will be very, very successful. And you will have more referrals, properties, deals, more people lending you money, more people wanting to work with you in giving you their money, their investments. So again, this is a great opportunity for you, but you have to keep this high quality control. You have to keep these high standards, this high work ethic, and you will succeed in so many different ways that will align to the success that you're going to have in the single family flipping. So again, make sure that you maintain that high quality control. It's extremely important that you do it. Contractor coordination. So this is what we were talking about managing the flip involves coordination with the contractors, subcontractors, and the suppliers to ensure that you stay on schedule. Now, here's a few things. This is what we were talking about. Each Friday, the property needs to have this, and that completed, okay? There's a few things that you're not gonna be able to control, but the contractor is able to control, okay? So for example, if the contractor is in charge of all the materials, because this is also another thing that you can negotiate as you get better to it, they need to tell you when the materials are gonna be on the house, on the property, on time, okay? If they don't have the materials, they're gonna tell you, oh, you know what, the materials did not arrive today, so we're actually gonna have to wait until they arrive, which is gonna be 2 days from now, so that we can start the project. Okay, perfect, sounds good to me, but now, here's the problem. If what you told me is not completed by Friday, I won't be able to give you the check until that is completed, because this is on you. It's not on me. This is actually your responsibility. We agreed that you were going to bring the materials, and we agreed that you were going to have this ready by this Friday. You were going to finish all the flooring, for example. All the flooring was going to be completely installed. This is going to help you create a strong relationships with your contractor so that they know that they're dealing with someone very, very serious. Timely decision making. So this is how quickly you can make a decision that is essential for the flip. For example, let's say that you order, right? Let's say that you were the one who placed the order, and you place an order for flooring for 1,000 square feet, okay? But it turns out that the property in reality had 1,200 square feet. Those 200 additional square footage, you did not know that they were there because it was not on the system, it was not on Zillow, it was not on property appraisal. It was just added, and nobody knows when it was added. So what exactly do you need to do if you don't have enough flooring? Well, you know what? Don't overthink it. Go really quick. Get a solution. Either get carpet. If it's a room, get a carpet right away. Hire somebody, or tell the contractor, you know what, we're going to put carpet in this floor, and then we're going to make it nice. We're going to add a door, so this basically turns into a full-size room in a closet. So again, be quick. Be quick on the decisions. Don't overthink something that's happening, because it's going to happen all the time. Keep in mind that these properties, they always need a rehab. This is the reason why you're buying them. So there's a few things that you probably did not expect that you're going to run into, okay? So be quick in making the decisions, and of course be very clear right off the bat. If your contractor, for some reason, they haven't showed up to work, just tell them, hey, you know what, we're done. We're not going to be able to work with you because this doesn't happen. You violated the contract. You're not here. You were supposed to be here. So I'm going to work with somebody else, and we are done. Get one of those people that you call, that you interview first, to get them to do the work, okay? Just be quick, because everything here on the flip that you're doing is based on timely decisions, okay? The quicker you can make and come up with decisions for problems, basically solutions for any problems that arise, the more successful you're going to be, because you're just going to be a solution maker. Contingency planning, basically, despite carefully planning, unforeseen circumstances can arise during a flip, potential causes delays. So this is what I was telling you. That's why you want to make those decisions effectively. Continuous and flexible process. Effective management involves streamlining processes and identifying areas for optimization. So by this is, there's a few things that you're going to have to consider when working on the flips, okay? For optimization, basically, if you're looking at a property, the property is in a really good neighborhood, and you're looking that the other houses have really, really nice kitchens and they sold recently, then you know what? Work on that. Also optimize that kitchen, make it look like a really nice kitchen. Maybe not focus so much in the rooms, in the fans, in the lights, but focus on the kitchen, make the kitchen look the greatest in the neighborhood. So that way, you know you're gonna have better results because of what's happening in the area. Everything is a trend. You always want to keep up with the trends. So whenever you're buying a house, whenever you're looking into a house, you want to also look at the houses that have recently sold, the highest, of course, rightfully rehabbed, and you want to look at what they did to that property in order to make that happen. Going back to cost control. So establish a comprehensive budget, create a detailed budget that includes all anticipated costs, including materials, labor, permits, and contingency funds. So this is everything that we have talked about, but in all one sentence, okay? Again, you want and you need the help of your contractor to guide you on this, but you want to hold him accountable to that. And then next time you go to another property, you're going to know a little bit more about what needs to happen and what needs to be done. Again, you're not going to do the overall math of $40, $50 per square feet, but now you're going to be looking at better actual budgets, okay? But you still want to do the math that I'm telling you, so that you keep those as additional gains. Regularly monitoring the expenses. So this is something you have to do every single time. It's just as simple as that. Every time something is being purchased, every time the contractor is buying new materials and so on, it needs to be tracked by you every single time. Every time there's a transaction, you need to record that as soon as possible. Every time light bill, water bill, anything like that, you have to monitor these expenses. I see a lot of people who don't follow these expenses, and it turns out that they miss out on money that they should be getting back because they don't write it. They forget about it. They get a receipt, they put it in their pocket, and then they lose the receipt, so they don't record that receipt. And it's $50, $100, but by the end of the project, they turned out to be $3,000. So again, you want to make sure that you're always regularly taking notes of the expenses, writing it down, keeping track of them, use a system. There's a lot of really good system for you to keep expenses. So again, you want to make sure that this is happening the right and the proper way. You want to get multiple bids on whichever person you're trying to hire, okay? If you want to do everything individually, like if you want to get your own painter, you want to get your own plumber, you want to get your own electrician, which it's you can definitely do that, then you want to get multiple bids on each individual so that you are getting the best pricing. And also control scope creep. So avoid unnecessary changes or additional to the project scope, as they can lead to increased costs and delays. If it's not necessary, don't do it. Don't get too much into detail on things that are not necessary for you to do. Just keep everything normal, keep everything on time, and just make it happen as soon as possible. Finish the project, sell the property, move on to the next property, and repeat the process. But don't do things that are not necessary. If the property has big landscaping and now you want to add trees, don't do it. Why would you want to add trees to a property? Because it's going to look better, it's going to look nicer. Now, I'm not saying don't do any jar work, because you may need to do some, right? But don't change the whole backyard. Don't add a whole bunch of trees if they're not necessary. They're expensive. It's a lot of work you have to do in order to make it look like that. And then you have to maintain it for a few months until you sell the property. If the property is taking 60 days for worst case scenario, 60 days for the property to sell after you put it on the market, that means you have had the property for at least 90 days. So you made 4 interest payments on the property that were not necessary. Okay, so again, avoid unnecessary things and unnecessary changes, things that are going to delay the property to be completed. Something like the example that I was giving you is definitely going to be a delay on the property. So avoid it. Just don't do it. If it's not necessary, do not do it. The contractor coordination. This is again, this is something that we repeat very often to you. That I repeat very often to you, because it's extremely important that you stay on track and your contractor stays on track. So by establishing clear communications, basically by making your point, telling them, I'm going to be here every single Friday at 9 a.m., then you have to be there every single Friday at 9 a.m. to do the property inspection, because you told them. Also, open line of communications, and basically if they need an additional thing, they saw something they were not expecting that was going to happen, they need to feel comfortable and share that with you automatically right off the bat, not wait until they see you, because it's gonna delay the whole property for you. Okay, you want to make sure that you're clear, you're upfront with them. You tell them, hey, every time there's something, you need to let me know what's going to happen and what's going to be the solution. This is extremely important that you mention this. Every time you tell me there's a problem, you also need to tell me what the solution is going to be. I hire you for this, for you to be the solution of this property. Set clear expectations, clearly communications with the project's deadlines, milestones, quality standards to all parties involved. So this is not just with the contractor, this is anybody that may be working for you, anybody who may be assisting you. You want to be clear, you want to be 100% clear, so there's no delays on your end. Again, all of these things that I'm telling you is so that the property stays on track. Regular progress meetings, basically what I was telling you, every Friday you meet with the contractor and you tell them what's the status, what's going on, what's the project, what's happening. This is going to help you. Everything that I told you is going to help you have the right person work with you and be able to complete the projects without any delays, any miscommunications. When we were talking about the timely decision making, I stay informed and proactive. So basically always ask for the updates. Don't wait until Friday. Evaluate options quickly. So this is basically what I was telling you, that when something arises, have the solution quickly, make it happen right away. Now, when you're hiring a contractor, you want to tell them what I just told you a few moments ago. What's the problem and what's the solution? Or what are the solutions? Why? Because they're going to have the answer. They're just not going to know which answer is going to be the best one for you. Sometimes they even start double guessing themselves. Okay, it's completely happened. They're human beings. We're human beings. So listen to these options, listen to the solutions, and then you make the decision at the end. Okay, but help them. It needs to happen right away. You cannot wait for these. Seek expert advice when needed. Consult with professionals such as architects and structural engineers for guidance on complex issues. So this is by you meeting more people, meeting more contractors, asking them for advice. No one is going to charge you for advice that to these experts is just simple, basic information. Okay, so don't be afraid of asking people. Don't be afraid of consulting with different people so that you get your answers. A streamlined process. Analyze the workflows, review the project's process, and identify areas where efficiency can be improved. So this is when you start getting into the habit of doing more properties. Whenever you find out that you slow on something, you were not able to react to something quickly, this is basically your weakness in a way, okay? And by identifying your weakness, you're gonna be able to make quicker, faster decisions. So always keep in mind everything that you're doing for every single family flip. Every single property that you do, be attentive, be intentional on the things that you're doing. Implement effective project management tools. So you can utilize project management softwares or tools that you can track that Utilize project management softwares or tools to track the task, timeline, and processes. So this is actually, there's a few tools that you can get in order to optimize and minimize the expenses. Every single time a card is being used, automatically goes into a system where this system is going to follow up with the expenses that you're having for every single one of these properties and so on. There's a lot of tools out there. Just Google them. Just Google them because there's a lot of them that are going to help you. Every single one of them is completely different, but they all do the one same thing, which is helping you optimize and maximize your timing, okay, your times. Coordinate schedule. So this is what I was telling you, that you need to be involved with the project. You need to tell them, I'm going to be here every Friday to check on this property. On time, at 9 a.m. This property better stay to what you told me that this was going to be done by this date. When you create the confidence that I'm going to be here by this date, they will do it. Lastly, it's going to be the contingency planning, identifying the potential risk. So conduct a throughout risk assessment to identify the potential challenge and the obstacles that could affect the project and the timeline. So this is actually something that you're going to ask the contractor you're going to hire. So basically you tell them, okay, so I need to know what may be the one thing that's going to take you a little bit longer to complete. Tell me what it is and why. Tell me why it's going to take you a little bit longer. So this is going to help you forecast anything that may happen in the future. Always develop backup solutions, so prepare for contingency plans for possible risk. By you knowing this up front, by you having this information up front, ask them, if this happens, what are you going to do? Well, how are you going to help me so that it doesn't happen? Or what exactly are you going to work on so that there's no delays on the project? So this is, again, with the help of the contractor to help you identify what needs to be done. Maintain flexibility. So always be open and recognize that anything can happen in every single one of these flips, okay? Which is why you have to become very good at calculating the risk. If you do every property $40, $50 a square feet on a full rehab and you take accountability for that, that means that you may be prepared for anything that may happen. Because if the property is going to cost, for example, $50,000 than what you estimated on the property that it was going to take, you use $50, 1,000 square feet, $50,000, but in reality it took $30,000. But now there's something unexpected happened. You have to put $5,000 additional to the property. Guess what? You already had that math on there. It was implemented. Instead of making an additional $20,000 in gains, now it's going to be $15,000. But so what? At least you're going to make money. At least you're going to be able to make a good amount of money to repeat the process and do it again. So all of these things are extremely important, and you need to be able to implement them. You're going to need a lot of help. You are going to need a lot of help from the contractor and anybody and everybody that you're working with, because this is going to help you stay on track on the project. This is going to help you gain the experience that you want to gain in order to become better, do multiple flips at the time, and this is what's going to help you become successful. Repeat the video multiple times. I know you're going to succeed. Let's go.